All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Man, it has been a hell of a week for democracy. For a lot of people that subscribe to this channel, they are democracy haters. It's true. You might find that hard to believe, but they're haters of democracy, and they're always saying, "Oh, fuck! I hate democracy. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it." They wake up in the morning, "Fuck, fuck, fuck! I hate democracy," and they go to sleep at night probably saying they hate democracy. But democracy had kind of a big week last week, and all those people who used to hate democracy are like, "Yo, what's up, democracy bros? What's up with that? What's up with that Supreme Court rulings? Yeah, hey, how's it going, buddy? How's that thing with the three powers? You got the executive, you got the legislative, and that man, that judicial's a motherfucker, huh? Whoa, yeah, that's really something." So now all of a sudden, democracy doesn't suck so bad as it did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, democracy sucked. As of last week, democracy not so bad. You know what? I could work with this, and we could tweak a few things. We could fix. We could adjust. We could fine tune it so that it runs properly. And so the two biggest rulings, of course, were the Second Amendment ruling and Roe versus Wade. There's tons and tons is going to be said about both of these things, and I've thought a bunch about it, and there's a couple of things that stand out right now. What's getting most traction or getting the most airtime, sucking the most oxygen out of the room, is Roe v. Wade. And the smartest take I ever saw on abortion, and I just saw it a couple weeks ago. There's a kid from, I don't know, I think he's up in New England. What was this? He has a YouTube channel called Praise of Folly, and he used to do all these like super cerebral, dorky live streams. And I was a subscriber for a while, and then it kind of lost me. At any rate, he pointed out that that abortion was really about making sure a woman didn't leave the workforce. You know what I mean? And the companies wouldn't have to pay maternity leave. They wouldn't have to, allowing women to get an abortion so they can get back to work in the factory, or slaving away to make somebody else rich. That is maybe the most dystopian view of it you could get. A church view, the morality view, all of that stuff. It's we don't want you taking any time off. We need you back. We need you back at work. So there's probably nothing crueler and than that, really. And that's the very real motivation for why that happened. Now, I don't know how the fuck the court got there, but I'm not a Supreme Court person. It was all white guy. It was, well, what's his name? Thurgood Marshall was alive back then. How that happened, I don't know, but it's ultimately it's an economic thing. People are very happy to be all moralistic about, well, you whores, hoes mad, hoes mad, and you're seeing that all over the place. I don't look at things from a moral viewpoint a lot of times because it's sort of it's cheap and easy, and people who I think often claim moral superiority do that because they have they can't compete in any other way, so they have to compete in this imaginary contest of who is more moral. I have a greater morality than you because I believe X, Y, or Z. Whether or not they actually live the way they say they believe is a separate issue. But the Roe v. Wade thing has got people insane, and the leak of the verdict was the biggest mistake the leftists could have made. I don't think they could have made a bigger mistake because they kind of telegraphed their punch, and the outrage, the people coming out in the street and doing stuff really was not super effective. There was, don't get me wrong, there was somebody found outside of Justice Kavanaugh's on his street, some guy with a pistol, dressed all in black, who was going to shoot Justice Kavanaugh or some family member. They've all been threatened multiple times in multiple platforms, a bunch of threats on Twitter. Speaking of which, what about this one? Here's the screen share. Here's a screen share that makes my point and is absolutely unambiguous. Share screen, Chrome tab. By the way, make sure to smash up the like button because I like the feedback. I enjoy the feedback. It probably pisses YouTube off. It's whatever. It lets know that at least somebody's watching because a lot of times a lot of people don't watch. For the number of people that show in the live chat is maybe like 2 or 3, a handful, maybe 4 people. But then like 40 or 50 people watch the video. So, it would be a nice metric to know that you smashed up the like button on your way when you arrive here or before you leave. So who put this out? Someone named Hot Dog Butt on June 24th. Which I guess was like the day after the Supreme Court, who just allowed Roe versus Wade to be overturned, should be pulled out of their chambers and shot in the fucking street. This isn't hyperbole. Gun the motherfuckers down. They failed us. They failed every woman we know. Burned them in their fucking homes. Now, I doubt Daniel, the hot dog butt guy, would ever do this or could ever do this. But to be honest, if he was ever in a position where he could call the shots, he would absolutely have that done. He would absolutely have that done. You are dealing with people who are murderous and insane. Do not ever forget. This is what they really want. They just don't really have the power to pull it off right now. But they totally would do that. What else am I looking at? What's this? However, listen, the victory in the Supreme Court, Bob Paxton got a notification from a credit card company today that buying crypto would be treated as a cash advance. Crypto, yes. I don't know about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not crypto. It's a separate thing. But if you fail to make that distinction, then you're going to have to live with the consequences of that, right? So the big victory in the Supreme Court with Roe v. Wade and with the Second Amendment, but the implications of this are pretty fucking big. And like I said, everyone's talking about Roe v. Wade. That seems to generate the most headlines right now. But the Second Amendment one is a much bigger deal, and for reasons that. And I thought I was familiar with the issue, but the reasons are not so obvious. And you should be scared. you should be scared because there's going to be a lot of changes. There's people say, there's a cultural inflection point or whatever, a single point in history. This is it right here, right now. These 2 rulings, but particularly the Second Amendment ruling, is going to have enormous fucking implications for this country and how it changes the culture and how it changes the laws. Big time. But right now, everyone's foaming at the mouth over Roe v. Wade because whatever, hoes mad. There are fanatics, that are unhappy with the court and they think they want to kill Justice Thomas or Kavanaugh or whatever, and they're extremely unlikely to be able to do it, even if they did, even if they were nearby. But we don't control the courts entirely. We had a big victory, or 2 big victories, you could argue. Yeah, but always remember that in the lower courts, you are in a real fucking battle, and everything is against you. Here's 2 stories side by side. One from a few years back and one more recently. Come on, show up. Show up. Okay, what's on the screen? On the left, story from the New York Post, which says the The jury lets the kill them all Times Square rampage driver off the hook in a fatal attack. This driver killed one person, injured 22. He said he wanted to kill them all, and he spent 0 years behind bars. It's an overweight black dude with glasses. And then next to that is an ABC News story from a few years back about James Fields, the young man who went to Charlottesville back in 2017 and got into a car crash and was convicted of killing a woman named Heather Myers, right? Heather Meyer, whatever her name was, I can't remember. He killed one person. He injured 22 people. He was attacked by a mob, and he is spending 419 years plus life behind bars. So understand this is still this is the stuff that's got to be cleaned out of the courts, and that's not going to happen quickly, but it is going to happen, and that's mostly due to Clarence Thomas's extremely clear and extremely what would you say, decisive ruling. So I was listening to a bunch of SCOTUS people, gun law people who advocate for gun rights, and the ruling that Thomas, and in both cases, in Roe v. Wade and the Second Amendment case, what Justice Thomas wrote was you have to look at the text of the Constitution. He made it very clear. You have to look at the text of the Constitution and how it was applied in history, and then look at, view everything through that lens. So what does that mean? The Second Amendment case overturned almost 100-year-old law in the state of New York, where someone applied for a handgun permit and was denied the permit because they didn't have any special reason. Now, you might wonder if our fellow whites weren't behind this, but the courts upheld it at the time because each state can do whatever it wants to do, and the Supreme Court didn't stick its nose in there. But the way legal stuff works is, one decision that's allowed to stand builds on another, and people apply it in every way that they can to seek victory in the courts, one way or the other. So anyway, someone decided to fight this and said, why do I have to show special need to exercise my constitutional rights? And this stuff was kept out of the courts for the longest. It's been edging up over a few decades. And finally, what Clarence Thomas said, and this is huge, he says, you got to read the text. And if you read the text, it's scarier than because most states have some type of permit scheme. You know what I mean? The 9 naughty states like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, a few other ones, the restrictive states, had these permit schemes that were Byzantine, or if you could even figure them out, and some of them didn't even have. It was just flat out no. Like here in New Jersey, the answer was no. It's been changed. The Attorney General says you got to turn it around. You just have to issue permits now. But there were, if you read the text of the Second Amendment, it means everybody has the right to keep and bear arms. That means the mentally ill. That means criminals. So this is, and I'd seen these stories out of Chicago. There was some dude, some din dude gets arrested 6 times for illegal gun possession. You know what I mean? And the 7th time they arrest him, the police just took him to the station house. They booked him, and then they just let him go. 0, not a day in jail. And you think well, how the fuck is that possible? Well, to be honest, that's legally all that they can do. There's nothing else they can do because you have the right to keep and bear arms. It doesn't say you have the right to keep and bear arms unless you've been convicted by the redcoats of a crime. You know what I mean? It's period, end of story, keep and bear arms. So why don't I just get some kind of, okay. Sorry, a DM on Twitter. This has some scary implications. It's not here yet, but all these permit schemes are going to fall, not just New Jersey and New York and stuff like that, which everybody's celebrating, but everywhere. And then you're going to have, you're going to have Dindus that have Glocks with switches everywhere. And what people might not know what a switch is, in a striker-fired pistol, a Glock-style pistol, you pull the trigger and there's a device inside the trigger that moves to the side so that the pin or the firing pin of the striker thing can strike the back of the round and ignite the powder, blah, 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 blah. Bullet goes down the barrel. And then this object is called a sear, goes back in between the firing pin, let's call it. It's not the striker mechanism, whatever, the firing pin, and the next round, so that the action cycles, spits out the empty case, loads a new round, and then you pull the trigger again. The sear moves to the side, the striker strikes the round, etc., etc. Well, a switch in a Glock is a device which pushes that object called the sear to the side and keeps it there. So what happens is the striker strikes the round, it goes off, bullet goes down the barrel, the shell the casing is ejected, and then the striker just strikes the next round. It basically turns a Glock into a handheld machine gun. And these Glocks with switches are big in Chicago and Atlanta. I don't think they've hit New York yet, but it's a modification of the initial design. And you can buy the kits, I think, and I think Amazon squashed it and a few other places squashed it, but there's a lot of these kits floating around. The kits are made in China, and they're relatively cheap. And a lot of these dudes in the ghetto have basically handheld machine guns. And you're not going to be able to stop them from going wherever they want to go. And if the police arrest them, what do you even charge them with? It used to be they would be charged with a felony crime for illegal handgun possession. But sooner or later, somebody's going to challenge this. So one of these ghetto lawyers, criminal lawyers, are going to challenge this and say, hey, read the text of the Second Amendment. He has the right to keep and bear arms, even though he's committed 17 felonies. And they're not going to, that sooner or later, the Second Amendment is going to crush all these laws. And then you're going to have a big problem with how the fuck do you keep these people out of shopping malls and wherever. And there's a much, 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 much bigger problem here. Mentally ill people, like the kid that shot up Newtown, that shot up Parkland in Florida. Just because someone's mentally ill doesn't mean they can't possess a firearm. This is scary on levels people haven't really thought through yet, and we're not there legally yet, but that's where we're going. And all of these things that are not being, like I just showed, like, one guy drives into the sidewalk in Manhattan, kills one person and injures 22, doesn't do a day in jail. Another guy is attacked by a mob in a small town of Virginia, kills one person, injures 22, and gets 419 years. This disparity is going to be dealt with, and it's going to change this culture dramatically. So all of the hand-wringing and all the hysteria that they had prior to this ruling is, as much as you thought they were hysterical, they're not scratching the surface of it. All of these people are fucking incompetent, right? They can't even carry out the fucking orders of the overlords competently. And they're going to be stuck now having to change a lot of things. When all these fucking dudes get out of prison, for whatever reason, and and a police officer cannot arrest them for carrying an illegal gun. At best, you can arrest them for receiving stolen property, because most bad guy guns come from home invasions or car break-ins. So receiving stolen property is like a misdemeanor in most jurisdictions. There's implications here that are huge. And like I said, they haven't tried the cases yet, and you don't want to be the test case. But there's some big scary stuff coming down the road that you're not going to be able to stop, and someone's going to have to deal with. Now the thoughts getting pregnant, their company will give them $4,000 to go get an abortion because they know it's cheaper than paying for maternity leave and healthcare and everything else that they're going to have to do with female employees. So here, honey, here's $4,000. Go do what you got to do. The obvious the putting of a price tag on on your behavior is, that's the argument that people should have made rather than the morality argument. They should have made that argument for decades and decades, but they didn't. Um, some people will now, and certainly, if you look at the financial channels like CNBC and all this, they're only talking about Roe v. Wade, and the reason why is because of the economic impact it's going to have. The so-called economic impact. Half the workforce is females. If they get pregnant, and you got to supply them with health care because they live in a state where abortion is not legal, what are you going to do? Move the whole headquarters? Move the entire factory? There's expenses here and nightmares for business having to put out money that they never had to do before. They haven't had to do since the 1970s, since the money printer started up. And this is going to change people's behavior, females' behavior, and make them think twice about acting like an alley cat. There's that affects the economy, but the bigger part is companies will be forced to pay for this stuff. If your companies, if they move to Mississippi because it's low taxes, and you can have like lower wages than having the company in whatever Illinois or New York. Well, it doesn't matter, because if Darla Ray, Dunn gets pregnant again, and you got to pay for that because she doesn't want to travel to New York or New Jersey or California to get an abortion. This is a huge thing, a big impact on the economy, and none of these motherfuckers is going to like having to pay for it, and that's really what drives most of this Roe v. Wade stuff. Yeah, there's the religious people, no doubt. You know what I mean? They have their beliefs, and that informs some of them. But yeah, there's where is it? Where is it here? Well, particularly Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas quote from, I don't know when it is, but if you actually walk the walk, then I suppose it's meaningful. So where are we at? Where are we at? Put up the picture. And it just freezes. Look at that. It just totally freezes. It does that on purpose just to piss me off, just to make me look bad. Just to make me look bad. I go to mass before I go to work. Justice Thomas, the reason for that is not just habit. It gives you a centering, starts you in a way of doing a secular job the right way for the right reason. When he gave the ruling on Roe v. Wade, it was like the Feast of St. John or something like that, the Assumption of John the Baptist or whatever. And if you think that he did that that it was an accident, that he gave that ruling on that day, then you are naive. A lot of people in right-wing spheres or on the internet, they're big into conspiracy theories, and that there's this symbolic meaning to this Jewish thing and that symbolic meaning to that communist thing. And that's many times that's true. If maybe not, maybe most of the time that's true. However, two can play at this game. And certainly Clarence Thomas most definitely did that in the Roe v. Wade, releasing the Roe v. Wade decision on the date that he did was, I assure you, quite deliberate. Absolutely, it was completely deliberate. To think that only one side can play this game is to be naive and mentally ill. Which that's probably like half my audience. But the Second Amendment case is going to be huge in ways, man. Like super scary. Shopping malls are going to close everywhere. How are you going to keep black people? How are you going to keep some 19-year-old stoner from the ghetto that has a Glock with a switch in it? How are you going to keep him out of the shopping mall? You know what I mean? Like, how can you do that? You're going to run into freedom of association. When I was a kid, there used to be signs that said, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason." This was an attempt to do quality control in like restaurants and different retail stores. It didn't work. They got the crap beat out of them in court, but it was an attempt. As the civil rights legislation crushed everybody, and a certain ethnic group practiced lawfare everywhere by suing people into oblivion. This is all this is going to be revisited. All of this is going to be revisited, and the solutions that they're going to come up with are going to be, I don't know what they're going to be, but it's going to change the politics of America radically in ways we can't really explain. By the way, the title of tonight's show, "A Thousand Fathers." It's a reference to Roe v. Wade, but there's an ancient Greek saying that goes like this: "Victory has 1,000 fathers, and defeat is an orphan." So, for the victories on the right, everyone's going to be like, "Yeah, I was a democracy guy the whole time. Yeah, man, Clarence Thomas, he's my bro," or whatever. Everybody's going to want to say like, I quietly supported this from the sidelines. Most of this victory really has to do with me. Because that's the way people are. Victory has 1,000 fathers, and defeat is an orphan. So that's just human nature. You know what I mean? And if you know that, and you see people bouncing around because of this ruling or that ruling, you didn't have nothing to do with it. There are people that try to say like, this all credit for this goes to Donald Trump. Really? Because I don't remember Donald Trump nominated Clarence Thomas to the fucking Supreme Court. You know what I mean? And if you think Clarence Thomas didn't bide his time and take those three newbies, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, and line them the fuck up just the way he wanted, you know what I mean? He's the senior guy. He writes the opinion. He got to write the Second Amendment opinion on his birthday. You know what I mean? You think that this shit was not lined up by this guy, that it's all a happy accident? I promise you it's not. It was at least as well thought out as anything that the left has done or the deep state has done, and probably more thought out than the deep state. The deep state's been fucking shit up like left and fucking right. Mostly with like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A lot of people said that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is now done. Like she's a footnote. She's been completely wiped out of history in this sense. And the loss of control of the judicial branch that the left had is because of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A lot of people said that when Obama was president and Ginsburg, they knew she was sick. Don't think they don't know that she had cancer. The rumor mill in Washington, D.C. goes around all the time. As soon as she goes for her first cancer treatment, everybody knows she's got cancer. The Obama White House should have come to her and said, "Listen, give us a list of people we can replace you with. And then, you quietly retire. You give the blessing, whatever, the Star of Rimfan blessing to the replacement. And then we keep control of the court." But this fucking bitch, she's like, "Fuck you, I'm dying on the bench." And that she did. You know what I mean? And that created an opportunity. People think that Trump is the master manipulator, and he's not. I would say it would be Clarence Thomas way more, because he's a much smarter guy. I remember watching those hearings way back in the day. He was a much smarter guy than anyone questioning him at the time. They're on YouTube. If you ever watch them, watch Joe Biden try to talk to fucking Clarence Thomas in like 1991 or whatever. I mean, Biden was just as fucking dumb back then, but he just had more energy and he appeared more alert. So victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. So all the democracy haters are all now like, "Hey, democracy bro, what's up? Fist bump. Yo, what's up?" And listen, we know who you are and what you are, and it's not, the internet will never forget. The internet will never forget. And when your mood changes, depending on what the fucking news changes, that makes you exactly the same. It makes you exactly the same as the the leftists you claim to hate. You know, it really does make you exactly the same as them. So please stick with the democracy sucks. We want to tear it all down and blah 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 blah. All right, Bob Paxton in the chat. Bitcoin, whatever. We got to talk about Bitcoin. Tons of Bitcoin stuff going on, as per usual. This is, we have a better sense of humor about ourselves than anybody else has about us. The entire time that the price of Bitcoin was rising from 20,000 to 69,000, there were tons of people that said, I'm going to hang on no matter how high the price goes. I've got diamond hands. My hands are hard like diamonds. We're going to ride this to the moon, and I got diamond hands. So this is one of our memes. It's your management team at Walmart, at Wally World, and what are they saying? Welcome back, diamond hands. How was the moon, right? And this is what everybody's laughing at, and you could enjoy a laugh now, right? How was the moon? $69,000 didn't seem like a very high moonshot, and now we're in the $21,000 range, something like a 21,000. So have a joke, enjoy things, because not going to be here forever. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. Here's our friends from Bloomberg with the FUD. This was from a couple of weeks ago, but it's just as relevant today as it was 2-3 weeks ago. Because here's where the media and people who communicate, this is how they know how to get into your head. They act like they know something you don't know. They act like they have inside information, and they'll tip you off if you just stop and listen to them. So Bloomberg from, again, it's like a couple of weeks ago, but it says, if Bitcoin falls below $19,511, what the fuck does that mean? Why is that a special number? It would undermine one of the main historical arguments for investing in it. You don't know what the fuck you have no reason, any understanding of why we do what we do. Down at the bottom of it, I circled Bloomberg.com. There's something different about this Bitcoin drawdown. What is different? How would you know it's different? In what way is it different? It's complete bullshit. You read this headline and you don't understand that this is 100% bullshit, written by people whose job it is to convince you to sell your Bitcoin to Bill Gates and to BlackRock and to Vanguard. If you don't understand that, then you're going to get played like a fish. You're going to get played like a fish because they have no shame. They have no shame, and you swear sometimes that they what am I doing? Stop the screen. Stop the screen. There we go. You would swear that, like, I write these fucking things behind the scenes. Here's this was from a video that the Bank of International Settlements had on Twitter. I swear to fucking God. And you're gonna think, oh, James, you fucking wrote this. You're working with Photoshop behind the scenes or something. And I wish it was this good with Photoshop. I wish it was this creative. Come on, bro. Super patient. Oh, come on, man. Who's on the fucking internet at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night on a fucking Monday? Nobody. This is from the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. This is the Rothschilds' central bank of all central banks. So that this video, and if you look, his soul of money is trust, and it says Augustin Karsten's general manager. But if you look at the background, I swear to God, and I'm not making it, the background is the money printer. The background is literally U.S. bills, U.S. $100 bills rolling off the money printer. This is what they had as the background for these messages that were flashing on this video. This is their idea of, I don't know, good public relations. But they weren't done with that. I could not believe how crazy it was. And then anyway, this was, yeah. So this is the most obvious anti-Bitcoin, without them actually saying the Bitcoin word, without them saying the B word. This is the most obvious swipe at Bitcoin. This is a direct swipe from the Rothschild Central Bank, Bank of International Settlements, against Bitcoin. It is. They could not point to it more directly while pretending not to point to it. This is from that same video. I was just grabbing screenshots, hoping that they weren't going to be super blurry, and they were not. So it says, my main message today is simple. The soul of money belongs neither to a big tech nor to an anonymous ledger. Well, Jesus fucking Christ, why don't you just say, our paper receipts are real money and Bitcoin is magic internet money. That is literally, and again, same background. It's just the $100 bills rolling off the printer, sheet after sheet after sheet of these fucking bills. And this all like moves in slow motion, and there was some music, like the deeply important music that they put in the background of stuff, so that what you're looking at right now is really profoundly important. We've got that dramatic, almost classical music, right? And then this was the word. At this point, I was the whole video was 37 seconds, so this is the 25 second mark, and like, again, you're gonna think, James, you fucking made this shit up, and I'm not making it up. This one was great. I don't know how anyone with two fucking brain cells could not burst out laughing. And the problem with me when I look at Twitter and I see stuff like this is I literally fucking laugh out loud, and people start staring at me like I'm a mental case. So the third screenshot I have is, it says, central banks have been and continue to be the institutions best placed to provide trust in the digital age. Yeah, you can trust the central bankers, kids, because they've done so well so far. Everything's just getting so much better. So, don't fuck that anonymous ledger thing. Put your trust in central bankers. Put your trust in central bankers. Unironically, they like, again, you're thinking like you and your insane Bitcoin buddies made this shit up. No, we didn't. That was really their video. The guy that where's the guy? Here's what the guy looks like. Here's Karsten, whatever the fuck his name is. You think he's a meme? He's not a fucking meme. This man is not a meme. The picture, you're gonna go, no, that's like a meme guy. He's not a real guy. No, he's a real guy, and this is how he looks. Are we up there? I'm choking. How can I be choking on stuff? Isn't even any fucking alcohol in here, hardly. It's like almost no alcohol. That's him. that enormous fat fucking tub of fucking lard, right? He's there's no way in his life, you know, every time he was out of earshot, people said, "Here comes lard ass." There's no way that didn't happen. Every day of his life, as he waddled towards a crowd of people, you know what I mean? This is the guy that tells you the soul of trust is central banking. Like like this is a cartoon bad guy, right? And his what did he say directly? He said, "Bitcoin cannot defy gravity." You know what I mean? So I guess he said this on June 23rd of this year. So I guess he's trying to say that he works with the Rothschilds and they control the very universe. They control the forces of gravity itself. So is it any more obvious that they are at war with Bitcoin? Is it possible they could make it more obvious that they are at war with Bitcoin? I think I make that case pretty clear. So if you sell your Bitcoin, you're selling it to that guy or his bosses, right? So don't sell your Bitcoin, and accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can between now and when we actually do go to the moon, which we're halfway there. The Every 4 years in Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin that you can possibly mine. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. The amount of Bitcoin you can possibly mine is cut in half. So right now, you can only get like 6.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. But in February or March 2024, that's going to be cut in half again. You're only going to be able to get like 3.25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. So it's going to take a lot more effort to get a lot less Bitcoin. And we are already halfway to the halving event. All right. And the Bank of International Settlements is telling you, trust us. We're the central bankers. We've inflated every currency we've ever been in charge of down to zero within like 120 years. But we are the soul. The very soul of trust is here at the Bank of International Settlements. Unironically, that's what they're fucking saying. And if you're laughing so hard that whatever you're drinking is squirting out of your nose, well, then that's an appropriate reaction. That is an appropriate reaction. Some of their other buddies. Wait a minute. Let's not go there. Here's where talk about conspiracy people and conspiracy theories. This is where people mistake the concept of frenemies. Like it's something I heard. I think it's it's a millennial thing. It's a mix between the word friend and enemy. Frenemy. It's a little bit gay, but it's not that. But it's sometimes appropriate. It is sometimes appropriate. It sounds like something that like a teenage kid would say. This comes from Forbes on what day? June 25th. Very, very recently. What does Forbes tell us? Oh, our friends in Beijing in China heading to zero. China issues shock Bitcoin price warning amid $2 trillion crypto crash. By a guy named Billy Brambo, who sounds like Irishman, Brambaugh, Irishman, Scotsman, I don't know. And he says, I write about Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, blah, 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 blah. The date, it's a little tough to see. It's in the lower left. About the play button, June 25th of this year. So your friends at the Bank of International Settlements are telling you that central bank money is the only real money and you can trust it. And China just happens to be saying at the same time that Bitcoin's going to zero. And if you can't trust the Communist Party, well, who can you trust, right? But the shape of things to come is absolutely it's there if you can see it, right? Here's a guy. He's a guy that kind of they throw him under the bus. I don't really think they're throwing him under the bus that much. Jonathan Pohl, welcome to the show. Here's our buddy, a fellow white person a fellow white, Jerome Powell, our buddy Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve Bank of America, which is not federal and has no reserves. So they've been torturing him in Congress, and I don't know, he's kind of throwing a little bit of a fit or whatever he's doing. And he says that Federal Chair Jerome Powell warns that government debt is on an unsustainable path and admits that he underestimated the threat of inflation for much of last year. Yeah, well, thanks a lot, detective. You know what I mean? You're a number one detective for the economy. You're just figuring that out now. Is it possible that they really didn't know? I think it is, because none of these people fucking live with the consequences of their decisions. But now there's no way to hide it. And he's the dude in the hot seat. So he's going to, they're going to grill him. I mean, listen, he's not going to lose his job, and nobody's going to prison over this. So it's really not that big of a deal. But and he doesn't like that. You know what I mean? He really, he got an important job. He's whatever chairman of the Fed and what history and blah 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 blah. He imagines himself in the history books, with the proper profile and what a big shot he is. Except the fucking economy is going in the tank, and he's the one in the hot seat, so he's complaining about it. That's really all it is. But here's what I think here's what could be coming down the road that's pretty funny. One could argue we're already there, but some California lawmaker decided to think about freedom. Decided to think about servitude in the United States. And in the California legislature, she attempted to write an amendment to the California Constitution that says that involuntary servitude is unconstitutional in California, but it was rejected, which means the government of California is holding on to the right that they may be able to force you to work as a slave. Now, what do you think the chances of that would be? Well, I think the chances of that would be is if you went into insane debt, like if the money was worth almost nothing and you just started stealing shit, and they don't have the prison cells to put you in prison or the jail cells to put you in jail. So they just add up the amount of shit that you stole and then tell you that you have to work that off. And if you don't work it off, they shut off your phone, they shut off your electricity, whatever. You know what I mean? If you don't do the act of servitude, whatever job they have for you, then I guess it's going to get worse. But this woman, who I don't think understands what's coming, but she just wanted to make this, we'll never be made slaves again rule in California. She looks like a light-skinned black chick. So she's probably got must slave on her mind, thinking that they're going to be thrown out in the fields to pick cotton like they did in the 1850s. That's not what they're going to do. You know what I mean? The money's going to stop working. You go into the store, you just steal shit, whatever, liberate, get your reparations, and they're not going to be able to stop you. But they'll use facial recognition. They'll use your smartphone, whatever thing they can do to say, okay, you took from this retail outlet blank amount of dollars worth of stuff. You didn't pay for it. Now you have to work off the debt. And in California, that's going to be legal. You know what I mean? California's been leading the country in a lot of ways, negatively. You know what I mean? A lot of anti-freedom way for a while. So, that California will not pass an amendment expressly forbidding involuntary servitude. That implies that, involuntary servitude is on the table. Now, again, how are you going to do this with some fucking dindu that has a Glock with a switch in it? Yeah, so it's all going to get super complicated. And how we get to the other side of this and what it looks like when we get to the other side of this, man, I don't have a fucking clue. Like, there's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of dystopia between here and there, like a lot. Eki Lux is still trapped there. Good news is Eki Lux can now buy a high capacity handgun. You know what I mean? All California gun laws are null and void. You know what I mean? They're all unconstitutional. So Eki can strap up. He can get himself whatever, a super Glock or whatever he needs, more than the little pea shooter that he has, more than his current minimum amount of Second Amendment. He can maximize. He can absolutely um, go to the next level, to the next level. But the next level is coming. This is that guy. This is Jonathan Poll's guy. He's Gonzalo Lira. I don't know. It was like some. Who was he? A Spanish dude? He's an Italian dude or whatever. He's in Ukraine. He's some kind of whacked out war correspondent. I don't know what the fuck he is, or how he gets around, how he fucking pays for meals in hotels and crosses the border. But Mr. Lira posting on Twitter something that I've posted a number of times before. And what is it? It's a chart of the gold Deutschmark versus the paper Deutschmark during the Weimar period. Except Mr. Lira has scratched out Germany and he's wrote in USA. So how many people are talking about inflation, hyperinflation, Weimar conditions, right? A lot of people. Not just crazy Bitcoin dudes, because I don't think Mr. Lira is a crazy Bitcoin dude. But you have a lot of different people with a lot of different worldviews and perspectives, all seeing a similar trend. And you might want to give a few moments pause to figure out whether or not that trend is likely to happen or unlikely to happen. And you could say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy or predictive programming or whatever, or you could just admit that some people pick up on things a little bit quicker than you do. They look at different metrics and come to different conclusions about them. So they appear to know things that you don't know. Like my batting average for predicting shit has been pretty good the last year and a half or so. Not because I'm particularly good at predicting shit, but I don't extrapolate that much. I just kind of look around and like, okay, what's happening now? Extend it forward a little bit, and then that's what I think is going to happen 6 months or a year from now. And it works. If you go too far, you're going to fuck it up because you don't really seeing deep into the future is very hard. And if I imagine that I have some special ability, which I really don't, I'm going to start claiming, like, we're going to go into the cult. We're going to make everybody join the cult, and we're all going to drink the Kool-Aid, whatever, the fucking Jello shots of poison in the mansion house, like what's the name? Those ones that waited for the comet. Like when you end up being wrong, you're like, hey, don't worry, the spaceship's going to come to rescue us all, and the spaceship doesn't come. And they're like, here, drink this Jello shot full of rat poison, and everybody goes, yeah, okay, sounds like a good idea. So you don't want to extend it too far. Look at what's happening now. Look around, get a clear understanding of what's happening now. Extrapolate a little bit. Try to think and don't extend your predictions too far beyond that. But debt slavery, hyperinflation, a lot of people from a lot of different areas talking about it from different perspectives, and that is definitely coming. Your friends at the Bank of International Settlements want you to know that paper money coming off that printer is the very soul of trust, and you should not think of trust as being some technology with an anonymous ledger. How much more obvious can it be? They're fighting us on fucking daily basis. And do not sell what Bitcoin you have. Work to get more Bitcoin if you can. And get ready, because the people who I'm going to show another quick meme, and this is another Bitcoiners having a joke at their own expense. A different, it's another burger flipping meme. Come on, come up there, right? It's going to be like one, two, three, and then the fourth is at the bottom. So there's Bitcoin to the moon, right? We're going up, 40, 50, 60,000, and then it comes back down as a red hat at McDonald's. And now you're crying tears of blood because you're going to go back and flip burgers because Bitcoin did not make it to the moon. But the problem isn't Bitcoin. The problem is it's fighting the most evil motherfuckers that have ever walked the face of this earth, and they control damn near everything. Well, they influence damn near everything. So we got an uphill battle, but we are going to win and they are going to lose. For multiple reasons, not the least of which is literally Bitcoin was designed to destroy them. A bunch of people thought for long and hard about how to destroy their system, and they came up with the hardest money ever. All the gold bugs, it's the reality is whatever. Uganda has literally doubled the world gold supply. The amount of gold that there is in the planet Earth just doubled. Zoo is in the chat. Zoo the Korean shit corner, by the way. You better be really Zoo. You better not be that guy Do Kwon sneaking around pretending to be somebody else. I just thought of that, being in a conspiracy-minded mode. No, but all joking aside, did I hear about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the NFT? Yeah, I don't know. There's, the people selling digital art. They got ripped off for X amount of. Somebody ripped off their digital art, or I don't know what it was. I mostly don't pay attention to that stuff because there's going to be endless scandals like that. People trying to get rich overnight. On some fucking literally like a digital artwork is not real artwork. Something on canvas, yes, but I don't think there's anything that's been put on canvas in the last fucking 100 years, maybe longer, 200 or 300 years. That's really like masterpiece level shit. You know what I mean? The masterpiece thing, that kind of went out a while ago. Like, I've been to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City a couple of times in my life, 3-4 times in my life. And they have paintings that take up it's like a huge place. Paintings take up an entire wall. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, they're like, whatever, like 50 by 25, enormous, super detailed, like really masterpiece stuff. Modern art is shit. Picasso is shit. That's all shit. You know what I mean? So, and the digital version is even whatever, less than that. Zoo in the chat. Apparently the people that run the Bored Ape are fans of the Austrian painter. I could care less. You people want a dead end with this? Dead end, man. You are like, you can dead end all you want because the future is going to be pot smoking dindus with, with handheld machine guns running around everywhere, and you won't be able to stop them. You know what I mean? And people are going to have to try to cope with that because the Second Amendment applies to everybody, even if you're mentally ill, even if you're a felon. You think you're afraid to go outside the house now? You think you're afraid to go outside the house now? Wait till that shit really kicks off. Wait till that really kicks off, and it will. I don't know how to get control of that. I guess the only way, like I say, the idea of a corporate governance, you live in corporate housing, you work for a certain corporation, you have a vested interest in that corporation, and no one who is not a member of that corporation is allowed onto your property, physically allowed onto your property. Something like that's going to happen because if you can't stop people from going from state to state to state. One of the things about like the Second Amendment thing, I was asking asked a couple of people to give me references in the state of New Jersey. I'll give you like a deep dive on how Byzantine the gun stuff is here. In the state of New Jersey, you need references in order to apply for a pistol permit. So I asked a couple of people, and 2 people said yes. 1 person said no, and then I asked the 4th person I'm waiting to hear back from. And I thought I just needed 2. It turns out I need 3 because I have to go to the state, not my local police department, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. Like uh, the ruling that Thomas put down, you know what I mean, is that's it. All these permit schemes are unconstitutional, but it would be a good idea to have the license anyway. And I would rather be safe than sorry. However, in my case, right, um, that presents unique problems. I live in the state of New Jersey. I get a New Jersey state pistol permit, right? Okay, take one of my guns, put it in a holster, go sit in my car. Now they say, okay, go pick up a box and drive to Boston. If for some reason I get pulled over by the police in Boston or in Massachusetts, you know what I mean? And for whatever reason, they go, hey, get out of the car. When they pat me down and they go, hey, you got a gun on you? I'm like, yeah, I got a license. Here's my license, whatever, New Jersey license. They're like, that's great. You're not in New Jersey right now. So am I legal or am I not legal? Ultimately, I would win in court, right? I don't want to be a test case for this, but I would win in court. Okay, because hey, listen, I got a license, but my business called me out of the state, and so that's that. Jonathan Paul can paint an ape. Yeah, you can do it in your spare time. You go on your lunch break at the store. You know what I mean? And you even have lifelike bananas you could give to the ape. You know what I mean? You could. I'm sure your painted ape digital bananas would be like Apex digital bananas. So what would happen to me? Would I get arrested? Wouldn't I get arrested? How does that work, right? It's a bit complex. Ultimately, I would win. Like I wouldn't sign anything that I shouldn't sign, whatever. But it would be a massive headache, right? It could happen. Is it likely to happen? It isn't likely to happen. So, how does any of this work, right? This ruling changes a bunch of stuff for a bunch of people. Interstate truckers, right? For the longest time, I've gone to stop at truck stops. They sell like these like miniature baseball bats, right? It's an aluminum baseball bat about 18 or 20 inches long. And they call it a tire pressure checker. Now, these guys, they may live in Kentucky or Tennessee or some other state where the gun laws are permissive, and now they have to travel across the country, right? They don't carry guns because they don't want to get arrested if something happens. They go to a truck stop. Truck stops can be sketchy fucking places. There's junkies there. There's prostitutes there. There's all kinds of shit there, right? These guys, they pull the truck over and they go to sleep. Who the fuck knows banging on a fucking truck door? People don't generally do that, but it's not impossible. Maybe the guy wakes up, goes to leave his truck to go use the restroom or go get food, and he's sleepy and he's groggy and doesn't know what's happened. And some junkie fucking whatever, cracks him in the head and takes his wallet. He wants to protect himself, but he can't carry a gun because he's from Tennessee, where gun laws are good, but now he's in Rhode Island, where he doesn't have a permit and the gun laws ain't so good. Now, what do you do? So what they started doing was they were carrying these, they look like little baseball bats, and it's a tire pressure checker. So they would go pound the side of their truck tires to make sure that the pressure was good. Bullshit. It's a small impact weapon that they can carry with them while they're walking through the lot to get from their truck to wherever they need to be. Okay, that's what they were doing for the longest time. Do they still have to do that? Do they not have to do that? How does this all work? There's tons of complicated shit here, right? And it's going to create complications going forward because there's plenty of dudes going to go, you know what? I read the Constitution. It says I have the right to carry. I'm just going to carry. And maybe trucks get pulled over all the time for tickets for whatever. All sorts of negative things could happen. For me personally, I would rather have the correct paperwork, at least for my home state, than not have it. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? That's if you just get, some routine thing, a fender bender or whatever, some police involvement. If you actually have to put some pills in somebody's chest, you got bigger fish to fry. But Chris Alton auto attacked me with the tire pressure checkout at the rest stop one time. Chris Alton, I don't know, man. That is. Are you taking some ayahuasca? Are you in Washington D.C. eating those psilocybin mushrooms or something like that? I suspect, sir. Yeah, pressure checker. I don't know what's going on. messing with Paul in the chat. There's some kind of fuckery afoot. At any rate, there's tons of potential legal problems for this stuff that are going to be sorted out eventually in favor of the Constitution, but it's going to be headaches for people going forward. And like I said, they're going to create an environment where Shatavius, the supervillain, can literally walk out of fucking prison and somebody can hand him a loaded fucking Glock and the cops can't do anything about it. That is, if you refer specifically to the text of the Constitution, if that is the test, what do you do? What do you do next time? So the police pull over a car full of good boys and, whatever. A guy's got a pistol on him. They can't arrest him for felony possession anymore. Now, most bad guys get their guns from, like I said, home invasions or car break-ins. So in theory, you could arrest them for possession of stolen property or receiving stolen goods or something like that. But that's, like I said, it's a misdemeanor charge. All this stuff is going to get, as it works its way through, the implications are way bigger than you think. So big, what's the name? That bitch, I sent the money to her, so I regret this. Tulsi Gabbard. She put out a video. She was like, oh, back in the day, blah, 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 Hawaii, somebody threatened to cut my head off. And I asked the chief of police in Honolulu if I could get a gun permit. And he said no. And then I went to Congress and then the Capitol Police took care of it. And she was like the most anti-Second Amendment politician you could find in the Democratic Party. But now she looks at this ruling and goes, all right, what's her political calculus? She wants to be in the White House. She wants to be president. She's like, okay, now that this is the law of the land, now I'm for it. Whether or not anybody ever threatened to cut her head off, whether she ever asked the chief of police in Honolulu for a gun permit or not, doesn't make a fucking difference. She made 87 fucking speeches against the Second Amendment, but now all of a sudden she's for it. So the political winds are shifting and shifting a lot. And as things go forward, it's going to, the problems that it's going to bring forward, nobody's ready to deal with. The prisons are chock fucking full. Okay. The police are terrified to do anything. Half of them are fuck ups anyway, but they're terrified to do anything because they don't want to go to jail for murder. But on the other hand, you can't have like, some 18-year-old kid with a modified Glock walking in the shopping mall and, just spraying 20 people. You know what I mean? Something's going to have to be done about that. And all these problems are going to pop up. They're going to be all over the fucking news, all over the place. And people are going to be hysterical. The Roe v. Wade thing is going to calm down because at the end of the day, women are going to, part of, I guess, the most legitimate criticism of the culture that right-wingers have had is that the marriage contract is the only contract where the person who breaks the contract benefits financially. In every other contractual relationship, right, whoever breaks the contract is usually penalized, but not when you break the marriage contract. The woman divorces her husband, she gets the house, she gets alimony, she gets to keep the kids. You know what I mean? He's got to move out and pay her and blah, 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 right? So, and the lifestyle that she's accustomed to living. This incentive drove women to break up their families because they could cut their husband out. They could break up their family. They could flex. They could do a display of dominance that they control this little world, their family, and they could benefit from it financially. That's why they did that. Women go out and they act like hoes because it's fun and it's exciting. And if something does go wrong, they can, quote unquote, fix it. Well, now they won't be able to fix it. There's going to be a lot less hoeing. People respond to incentives even before the incentive manifests itself. So that's, the Roe versus Wade thing, like I said, right now, that's making the big splash. But the state, whoever's in charge, whatever political party is going to be in charge, is going to have to deal with an insane level of violence that they don't have the legal tools to stop, because just pulling over, stop and frisk or whatever, you're going to stop and frisk somebody right? Even if the kid's got a knife, you can't arrest him for having a knife. Why? Because he has the right to keep and bear arms. Fuck, what do? You can't let people get slashed up on the subway. How do you solve this problem? Build more jail cells with what money? Now, I'm all for building more jail cells, but you're going to have to keep people in there longer because the minute they pop out, they're just going to go back to doing what they're doing. And this shit, this back and forth, is going to change politics in fucking radical ways. The left is going to get way leftier, and the right is going to get way rightier. And I don't know who's going to win because I don't think either one of them are competent at solving problems. But it's going to be a really fucking bumpy road ahead, and the economy's going to shit. A lot of things on your plate. A lot of things on your plate for everybody. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just sit here in my cozy bedroom. You know, I'll get all cozy with the beverage, and I'll watch the world burn. Maybe you will. You know, maybe you will. But I hope your room is really cozy, because you may never come out of it again. The world outside may be so fucking bad that you don't dare step out of your house again. So think it through, kids. Think it through. There's a lot of stuff. Like I said, it hasn't worked its way through the legal system yet, but you cannot stop anybody from possessing a firearm anywhere, almost anywhere. The House of Legislature, you can't have it, and you can't have it in polling places. But this is monstrous. This is fucking insane. This has really opened up Pandora's box, and it will impact you one way or another. Chris Alton, obviously, he's never been to a truck stop. He's never seen all these guys, with they're pulling the curtains they have curtains in trucks, because they're going to block out the sunlight because they want to sleep, because they sleep at oddball hours, because, they drive all day and night. And, the prostitutes in truck stops are called lot lizards. That's a thing, and it's all fucked up. There's women truck drivers. It's a fucking mega mess. And as the world gets less safe, if trucks start getting hijacked because the price of food gets high enough so that it's worth hijacking a truck full of, I don't know, chickens or fucking steak or something like that. You know what? Drivers might decide to protect themselves, and the form they take of that protection might be something that shoots back, and you got fucking disaster on top of fucking nightmare. And you say, I don't care. But if the supermarket where you live doesn't get any food, you'll start caring real fucking fast. You'll start caring really fast. You know what I mean? And then when Shaniqua gets there, and she says, they ain't got no whatever, and she calls fucking Tyrone, and he decides to shoot the place up because racism, somebody's going to have to put these fires out. And like I said, no one's capable of doing that right now. Chris Holton, did I see the truck full of immigrants who died? Nah, that's probably like every week. That's probably every week by the fucking Mexican border. Get these people in here to do what? To pay for your Social Security? Is that really going to happen? The truth is they cost more in social services than they produce. All of them. I don't know. I think like 25 or 30% of Central Americans are on some form of public assistance. So whatever they pay in taxes, even if assuming that they're working legitimately on the books, as it were, they're getting more than that out of the system. The unsustainable debt path is a very real thing. And again, nobody's ready to deal with it, and they're just going to print. Chris Alton, I'm pretty sure it's the largest migrant death in human history. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. There was a thing I forgot to grab the screenshot. People talk about hardworking Mexicans, but on the Rio Grande, it's common for the human traffickers to rape their female clients before they let them go across the Rio Grande. and they have a tree where they often hang the girls' underwear or nail the girls' underwear to a tree. I had a picture of it. This is really common. Here you go. Here's freedom. But before you go, boom, smash her down. You know what I mean? And then they strip her of her underwear and they nail it to a tree. So these are the people you're dealing with. When I show you a picture of the cartel guy with the fucking Barrett 50 caliber rifle driving through Phoenix, you know what I mean? You think, oh, it's just whatever. You don't understand how bad these people are, how quick and how insane they will become violent, and that we're not ready to. There's no police force that can deal with them, and there's no political will to deal with them militarily. Okay. And by the way, militarily, they have the same equipment we have because we give them our fucking military equipment. There's all these potentials for fucking super disasters are floating around. And the more you let these, whatever, rape victims, and trust me, plenty of guys who are serial rapists come here, someone's going to have to deal with this problem. And then, one of these guys, Pedro's going to have a fucking Glock, and he's going to be walking around with a Glock because he's a drunken Mexican and he wants to wave a fucking gun around. And the police won't even be able to put him in jail. I go, well, it's a misdemeanor, because every citizen has a right to carry. And you're going to think to yourself, I'm not coming out of the fucking house anymore, and that might not be a bad idea depending on where you live. It's going to happen in a lot of places. And particularly what I'm going to like is going to happen to wealthy people because they have all these landscapers. They have all these fucking people coming to do landscaping. You know what I mean? So sooner or later, it's going to touch them. And I will take some shortened fruit in that. I will take some shortened fruit in that. But big inflection point with the Supreme Court this week, bigger than people know. A lot of other problems that have been ignored and pushed to the side, they're going to come forward. And especially, again, as the money stops working, it's going to be even worse. The less the money works, the more radical everyone's going to get. And then the more out of control things are, the more at least the current political parties and the political persona will be seen as ineffective clowns. And they're going to want to get somebody else in there, And I don't know what they're going to be able to fucking do. But it's going to be a bumpy fucking ride. That's why listening to your friends at the Bank of International Settlements, who I'm sure care about you much more than I do, is not a wise idea. You know what I mean? And if you want to buy gold, wait until the price drops to reflect the fact that there's twice as much gold on the planet Earth as they thought it was, and probably 10 years from now, they'll probably find even more. But you do what you're going to do. Bitcoin is still the smartest thing you can do. Save your wealth in a form that they can't confiscate and they cannot inflate away from you. They can't tax away from you, and they don't control. That is absolutely the smartest thing you can do. And right now, they're suppressing the price. Good. That's a gift. Whether you see it as a gift or you don't see it as a gift, right now, looking back 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, you'll see it as a gift. The question is, will you be smart enough to take it for yourself? That I don't know. Because people come in my chat and say a bunch of dumb shit. I had people come in and say, I just barely got my first Bitcoin. Congratulations. Then they come back 3 weeks later and say, I got 3 Bitcoins. It's like, how'd you go from 1 to 3 in a month? You know what I mean? Like, I worked years to get this first one, and now you got 3 of them. Bullshit. People like to pretend to be things they're not on the internet, and that confounds me. Fucking confounds me. Just go play a video game. Why don't you go play a video game? I don't get it. Like, go play World of Warcraft or something like that. I know that's an old one, but whatever. That's just as much of a fantasy as the stuff people write in my chat sometimes. So I don't, why they do what they do is not clear to me. But did I cover everything I wanted to cover? I think I did. other than don't take a lot of vitamin D. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. Last thing, last like a lift bro thing. I started taking vitamin D because supposedly it was good for your allergies, and it really wasn't helping my allergies. So I kept upping the dose from like 1,000 units a day, 3,000 units a day, 5,000 units a day. I was taking 10,000 units a day. I started feeling like total shit, tired all the time. My fucking joints hurt, my bones hurt, Like my hands and my feet would hurt for no reason. Uh, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was blaming it on everything else other than vitamin D. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking this shit no more. And as soon as I stopped taking it within 24 hours, I felt like I lost, I don't know. It felt like I was 10 years younger, you know? So apparently excess vitamin D stops your body from absorbing magnesium, and you need magnesium a whole lot more than you need vitamin D. So, and don't buy into that mega doses of vitamin D thing. And if you do start taking shit like that, listen, you just got to look at, you make a change in what you're doing, what you're taking in your body, whatever. If things get worse, undo the last change. What was the last change you made? Undo that. So a lot of the bro science is really shit, and vitamin D didn't do much of my fucking allergies, to be perfectly honest. Nothing special. So another myth, another Twitter myth, another Twitter myth. Destroyed, smashed. The truth exposed. You can get enough vitamin D from whatever, milk and cheese or whatever. You don't have to go supplementing it. It's not a great idea. But I don't know. What else? That's it. Remember, victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. Because you're going to be seeing that. You're going to be seeing that a lot lately. Although it's going to go back and forth between this and that so fast. You're going to want to hold before you applaud. Hold your applause, because the script is going to flip real fast. There's going to be a lot of plot twists coming up. But I think at this, where we're coming up on 90 minutes, 90 minutes is pretty good. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Thanks for everybody for stopping by. I will let you guys know what happens if anything changes, whatever, for me in the future, but I don't think anything is going to. But expect a lot of spice, man. Expect tons of spice. The Roaring 20s are going to be here again, but it's going to be the 2020s, and you're really gonna understand why your grandparents or great grandparents were conservative as fuck and never left the house. You're really gonna understand. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be because they didn't have reliable cars and big public highways. It was for different reasons. So the end of this decade is going to be spicy AF. Anyway, don't buy any digital ape fucking things. Don't sell any digital ape things. Don't beat each other up with pressure checkers or attack each other in the truck parking lot. Try not to do that, because there's probably a truck full of dead immigrants somewhere nearby, and you'll get blamed for it. You will get blamed for it. And apparently the Austrian painter thing, man, I could not be more over that. Could not be more over that. But Bob Paxton, Jonathan Pohl, Zoo, and Chris Alton, everybody that's going to show up tomorrow, and remember to smash up that like button. It pisses off the people at YouTube, and it gives me some idea of what I'm doing here, not doing here. I will talk to you guys again next week, and let's see what happens, bro.